Hello, everybody. Hello, Trailblazers. I'm glad you've come. On behalf of the Trier Germany Admin Group, welcome to today's Salesforce ISV Landscape session. My name is René. I'm the user group leader, and I'll be your host for today. Our esteemed guest and speaker today is Kristian Margaryan Jørgensen from Salesforce ISV GoElephant. The session will have three parts, an intro, a live demo, and a Q&A part. You can ask questions anytime. For that, please raise your hand or rather save them for the Q&A. And I will open the Q&A right now. So let's get started. Kristian, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Let me first see if I can share my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, that works.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, René, for having me. And hello, everyone. One back. Hello, Trier user group. Really good to meet you, and for everyone joining online. Brief intro. That's me on the left or right hand side, depending what are you looking at, with the glasses and the receding hairline. My name is Kristian. I'm co-founder of GoElephant, and the other handsome man is my wingman, co-founder and CTO of GoElephant. So yeah, as René said, it's really pretty straightforward. I'll briefly talk about the problem that we're trying to solve for our customers with GoElephant. So you have that context, and then we'll jump into the live demo and should have plenty of time for Q&A. So ready to get started? All right. So I've been part of Salesforce programs for over 10 years, client side, in consulting, you name it. And I've seen the great transformation that new technologies can enable for companies such as Salesforce. The challenge, however, is that the journey doesn't end at deployment. That's where it begins. Adoption, the prerequisite for any value realization of tech deployments, varies across an organization, because at least until the agents take over, organizations are still made up of people, and people have different backgrounds, skill sets, are in different age groups, cultures. So everybody's facing different changes and challenges. So adoption varies across organizations. But something is broken in how we, as an ecosystem, have been approaching Salesforce implementations and programs. The ultimate predictor of program success is adoption, plain and simple. But of course, you're not trying to just get people to adopt Salesforce just for the sake of it. You're looking to accelerate the effects and the outcomes of greater adoption. So to sum up that point, why adoption matters, we can say in a simple way that adoption is your leading indicator of the return of investment in your Salesforce program. So better adoption, better ROI. So what's the problem? Why is adoption seemingly always the elephant in the room in Salesforce programs? Let's look at that real quick. Well, it's, in my experience, incredibly painful to try to assess what is the state of adoption across an organization. You can use the Salesforce Labs adoption dashboards and configure those 42 reports and 3 dashboards. But to know how people feel, you need to either go and talk to everyone, or if it's a big organization, maybe you do an off-platform survey and try to combine that with the login and usage data. But that's all really painful to have to do consistently. So you end up with lack of accurate, up-to-date adoption insights. And the problem with that, the consequences are ineffective change activities if you're basing your decisions off of inaccurate data, or tense stakeholder meetings if it's not based on facts, and ultimately program risk if you can't justify and say we have really good adoption or it's improving. Why are we spending all this money on tech in the first place? So a 10 times better way to drive adoption and value in a Salesforce program is by integrating adoption insights and the voice of user or user feedback, to put it simply. And that is what I would like to show you how to do today. So I promised the intro to the problem we solved would be quick. I hope it wasn't too quick. I'm just going to pause here for a sec before we jump into the demo. René, any questions? Are we good to go?
Yeah, I haven't seen any questions yet, but are there any from the audience? It does not seem so, so please proceed.
All right. So just gonna cheat a little bit like a good TV chef. All right. So with GoElephant, you can say goodbye to cumbersome annual surveys with low participation rates and say hello to capturing steady feedback throughout the year on autopilot with zero effort. I am now logged in as a Salesforce end user, and as you can see, there's a simple one question survey that pops. How happy are you with using this application? So users simply say how happy they are. Great meeting the Trier user group. It could, of course, be something relevant to Salesforce. It would be, but this is an example. The user can choose to be anonymous or not, and that's it. Then they simply submit their feedback. All right. Now let's have a look at what it looks like for a Salesforce product owner or an admin. And let's go to December, for example. So as a GoElephant user, you can see the feedback directly in Salesforce in the GoElephant app. If a rating is low or there is some interesting feedback, you can act on it. You can reach out to that user. You can learn what's going on, what's holding them back, and help them improve adoption by solving their problems. And that is how you can capture feedback at scale with zero effort. Now let's see how GoElephant makes it super easy for you to compare adoption across your organization. Now, this is just a developer demo sandbox, not a ton of users or roles. GoElephant is meant to live in a bigger organization. Let's have a look. Now, GoElephant captures user feedback, as you just saw, but it also captures logins and user activity and generates scores for that. And with our advanced scoring algorithm, we can show how adoption compares across an organization and at different levels. In this example, it's using the role hierarchy, but there are also another way I can show you later if there's time. So this way you can see, oh, there is actually a team that is struggling a bit. Let's dive into that. And this way you can see for a specific team or part of your organization, what is the challenge holding them back? For example, imagine this were a country, Germany, the US, what have you. We could say, okay, it looks like the team is actually pretty happy and they're logging in quite okay, but their usage, what they're doing in Salesforce is quite low. You can see what is the feedback specifically from the users in that team or role in this example. you can see what is the activity, or rather lack of activity that is going on in this particular team. And you can see all their activity across different processes. If you wanted to, you could drill down and click on the user itself. Here we show less information because we also want to respect privacy, but you can see how the scores develop for that particular user. If we zoom out and look at it at a org level, you can see and show how the global view of adoption is trending over time. And that in super short 10 minutes is the fastest demo of GoElephant I have ever done. Usually a ton of questions along the way, so forgive me, René. But I think I will actually pause here. I'm happy to dive into any other part of the app that you or any participants would like to see or understand.
Yeah, Kristian, thank you so much. Indeed, that was maybe a bit faster than I expected, and definitely very much shorter than in other sessions. However, it is not at all an issue, as I would expect that we get lots of more details out of questions. So do we have any questions from the audience? So Usuman, you can also ask directly if you want, otherwise I can take it up for you. So let me take it up for you. So Suman is asking, is GoElephant an app? I would say that is installed, or is it an org?
Yep.
So by that, I think Suman means, is it a separate environment?
Yep, good question. So GoElephant is indeed an app that is installed in Salesforce. It's a native app, so it only operates within Salesforce. Actually, would like to show one thing that can maybe help understand that also. Maybe something like this. So here is your Salesforce org, and you have a Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, whatever other clouds you have purchased, and then GoElephant you install from the AppExchange. Does that help, Suman?
Yeah, I trust that clarifies. Do we have other questions from the audience? Maybe Jonas, do you have a question? Okay. Okay, Suman is asking if you are able to share that slide. So let me say that the session is recorded, so that will automatically happen, Suman. So that should be okay if you see it in the video, right?
Absolutely. I'm also happy to share the slides with you.
Yeah. So unless there are other questions at this time, I'd like to ask a few. So Kristian, could you maybe walk us through the process as a brief outline of setting up GoElephant?
Yep.
From the moment where you decide that you want to trial it or so, and
Yep.
until the moment where you have something meaningful out of the application.
Great question. Yes, so getting started is quite easy. You install it directly from the AppExchange, and that's where we offer this 30-day free trial, because the moment you install GoElephant, it will be empty. But from that point onwards, it starts capturing adoption data and scores and captures user feedback. So it does take a couple of days to a week to get some meaningful insights. So that's really the process. I can maybe share one other bit of what you can expect to see over the course of a trial. And that is in the first week, it's about getting started. You install it. And already on day 2, you should be able to get the first feedback from users. Obviously, it's not something we control entirely. We can make sure the survey pops, but we don't control whether people actually respond to it. But we do see a pretty good response rate. And then on day 3, after our first full business day is completed, you'll see the first score. That will obviously become more and more strong and robust over time. And then over the course of the second week, you begin to have an idea about, okay, what do my users feel about our CRM? What is the daily active user and weekly active user pattern looking like? And towards the end of week 3 or 4, you can begin to compare adoption across the organization.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this. You are come as an accompaniment with this proposal. If somebody trials the application, would you do a follow-up email that contains these materials?
Yeah, absolutely. We offer to be part of each step of the way. So the installation, if someone wants help, we do have an installation guide, but if someone wants me to be on the call, I'm more than happy to. And then typically we do a check-in after day 3, basically when the first score is there, to talk through what you're looking at. And again, after another week and so on, just to make sure they get comfortable understanding what they're looking at. It's designed to be fairly simple. That is the design mentality we have in mind. But of course, we are happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you mentioned, Kristian, that the user is prompted to provide feedback.
Yeah.
So for that, we need a utility bar installation, right?
Yes, absolutely. So maybe we'll just go back here. So there's 3 parts to setting up GoElephant. The first one is simple. Click Get It Now on the AppExchange and go through how you install any apps. Then you assign a permission set, admin permission set to yourself. And then you go to the GoElephant app in the app launcher to GoElephant setup. And here you have very few things to consider. How long do you want to keep the adoption data generated by GoElephant? How do you want to assign permission sets to your end users so that it captures adoption data and that they are asked for feedback? So we make it easy. You can choose to assign to all internal users. That'll exclude admin users. Or you can choose just manually assigning that permission set if there's only a subset of your organization you want to capture adoption for. You select how do you want to roll up adoption. That's basically to say, how do you want to compare adoption across your organization? Is it by using the role hierarchy, as in this example, or is it using some sort of custom pick list field on the user object? Some organizations use an a picklist field called sales org or market or something like that. So if you want to do that, you can. And then it's about selecting what objects do our users work on and should count towards the usage score. So there are some that come out of the box pre-selected. That is objects like accounts, contacts, case, leads, and opportunities. But you can select any object that your users work on. Quotes, visit reports, whatever is meaningful for the work that your users are doing. And then there is the utility bar that you mentioned. So that is our little friend down here. And that's basically in the in App Manager. Now we could almost have done a full installation in this meetup, but let's see. So we find our sales app, edit, and you go to utility items. And then here you can see that is the utility item. Now, a few things to be mindful of. It's also stated in the installation guide is how big it should be so it looks proper, and that it should start automatically. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kristian, for going over the ground, what needs to be done in terms of setup and installation, let's say. So it's fairly quick and easy, right? So there is not a lot to be done. Even the utility bar is a quick shot. And then maybe a related question. So users are kind of regularly prompted, but they can also give feedback by themselves, right?
Yep, that's right. The utility bar component is there all the time. So in case they have feedback that they would like to give, to be honest, we haven't seen any of our customers experience that yet. But I think if you were to let your users know that there is this thing, and if you want to share feedback, you can. That is, of course, something they can do. Yeah.
So as it's not actually happening, it's not a problem. But if somebody were to be very discontented and provide a dissatisfied feedback 20 times, would that weigh on the score in an unbalanced way, or are you filtering such things out?
Yeah, good question. I mean, first of all, if you are an admin or product owner, that is something that would really help you, right? Because then you know who is not very happy, and you can figure out what's going on. Hopefully, have a good conversation to help them out. To the question about does it weigh in on the score? Only for that particular user. So if there is 100 users in the org, then that's only that one user that is dissatisfied. So it doesn't matter if one user responds 20 times or once. That will only count 1%. Yeah.
So from what you're saying, Kristian, the underlying idea or current message seems to be one man, one vote, right? Sounds quite democratic. We know that in actual reality, it's not always like this.
Yep.
If you have a high-ranking management member, like a senior executive or so, and a line employee, their opinion in the organization will not count the same. So if a customer wanted this to be different, could you accommodate it or not?
So I think I would actually challenge that, because I would rather come with facts and say, let's say 20 people responded. There was one that was very dissatisfied. We have reached out and we understand what's going on, and that person is now happy. whereas the other 19 were already somewhat happy or very happy. That's facts that you can bring to senior stakeholder meetings, because you're coming with facts, whereas they may be coming with opinions. Of course, you need to meet somewhere in the middle, because what is the basis for their opinions? And that's also great, because then you can go and talk to those people.
Yeah. Also, usage of an application has some democratic elements. Each user on their own is sort of battling with getting along with the application.
How do you mean? Sorry.
So each user is trying to get the best out of the application, and there is no natural weight of the one versus the other. So we have yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. So do you mean the GoElephant application, getting the most out of that application, or Salesforce as the CRM?
No, I meant my previous question, whether it could be possible to give different weights to different divisions, departments, or ranks in the organization. And I concluded myself that that wouldn't be the best idea, same as you.
Yeah, good question. We haven't thought of that. It's just based on users, how many users, right? That's how we roll it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So currently it's totally democratic.
Yes. I'm not going to make any jokes there, but yes, that's right.
Yeah. We have another question from Zuman.
Yeah.
He asks, does GoElephant used to capture feedback only? So are there other functionalities that we haven't seen yet?
Yes, awesome question. So this is a simplification, right? But yeah, feedback is at the heart of what GoElephant does, because that is so hard to do at scale currently. But yeah, we also capture logins. If a user is logging in or not, it's very basic, but still the prerequisite for any other adoption to happen after that. And then we capture usage across any process that you have defined in when setting up GoElephant. So that's a bit down here. And the objects that you decide to track, we will then capture when a user interacts with those processes, if they are creating records, if they're editing. For some of the hero objects, such as account, case, lead, and opportunity, we also look at the closed or converted leads. And each of these user activities gives a score to the user for the given day. So that may have sounded like a lot, but that is what we do every day. Then the GoElephant app generates scores and rolls it up through the organization and presents it. Hope that made sense, Suman. Otherwise, feel free to follow on.
Yeah, it seems to be okay.
All right.
A brief follow-up question from my side, Kristian. Speaking about logins, so I presume you filter those a bit, that you drill down on the actual user logins instead of tracking technical logins from the app ecosystem, right?
Yes, and we do that. And there is one more thing I could mention that we also do, because sometimes a user logs in, let's say in the evening, but their session is active also the next day without them technically executing a new login, but it's just an active session from the previous day. So if they have usage, if they are active working with records on the next day, but haven't executed a login, we know that they were actively logged in on that day too. So they also get a login score for that day. it would simply look weird if a user had usage on a day but weren't logged in. So we've made that addition too. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. I think that makes a lot of sense. Another related question, in my experience, the login data are only available for the past 6 months, and then they fade from day to day. It's a rolling window, you could maybe say. So how are you dealing with this? You are capturing in GoElephant data that is derived from the logins, and then you keep that as long as users have configured, admins have configured in GoElephant, right?
Yeah. So it's really for that particular thing. It's every day we look at the previous day's login activity and capture and snap that basically. And then you're right for the how long do we keep the data, or not us? How long does the customer keep the data? That is something they decide, and depending on their policies for such things, right?
Yeah. Thank you. So as a side effect of using GoElephant, or as one benefit, you would get a view into logins in a rolled up fashion, in a summarized fashion,
Yep.
for a time horizon that is can be considerably longer than the 6 months that Salesforce offers.
Absolutely. Maybe I can just show you one thing. So this is a screenshot, obviously, but yeah, so we also in the app, it doesn't look so cool when it's 2 users, but for a real org, this is what it would look like over the course of a long time. You can see how many active user licenses there are in an org, and how many monthly active users there are based on that login. If you wanted to, you could see how does the pattern look by week. How many weekly active users do we have, or by day, if you're also curious to see is anyone logging in during the weekends, or what are the busy days, you can see daily active users. And yes, that goes back as far as you decided to keep adoption data.
Yeah, thank you. That's impressive to see how it would look like in a larger org. So maybe while we are still on the setup, let me briefly ask about the roadmap before I ask items that could be on that roadmap. If
Yes,
you could
please.
open a parenthesis, a bracket, and let you indicate what may be on the roadmap.
Yeah. Cool. So the stuff that is coming next is, let's see. So we are here on the team adoption page. And while we do show the login score, we don't show that daily active, monthly active, weekly active users component here yet. But that has been requested quite a lot. So that is something that is coming over the next months. It's also been requested that we show, when you click a particular role, that we show what are the different users in that role, how does their adoption scores look, so you can see who has a high adoption score, great, or who has a lower adoption score, so you can go and focus your efforts on helping them. And we are also going to add in showing what is the trend. How does this score compare to the previous month's score? Is it going up or down? just to be able to show the impact of any adoption driving activities people may be doing. That is sort of more on the near future roadmap. We're also thinking about adding a adoption segment, so that you could see a team that has a, let's say, high activity level but low sentiment level. That is maybe power detractors, if you will. If another team is very active and very happy, they are likely power ambassadors. So just to make it easier to prioritize what teams or countries we should help. Long term, that's where we, or end of year, is where we're starting to look at how can we make it easier to summarize and make sense of the adoption data, either for a particular team or for a particular process, a specific object, right? So what is the feedback that's been given to the opportunity process, for example? Summarize that for me. Or this team in general, all the feedback they provided combined with the GoElephant adoption data and scores, help me make sense of that, and what can I do to drive adoption? You can probably tell we're alluding to something with AI, so that is definitely on the roadmap, but we want to do it in a meaningful way. So we'll do as we preach our dear customers to do. We'll engage and ask for feedback for how best to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks so much for elaborating on a bit on the roadmap view and on items that come under that headline, Kristian. I was asking from the setup context, so pardon me if I go back there.
No, that's good. That's good.
So
Yep.
I'm seeing as the element the object selection. Now, I'm not saying that would be impossible for people to do. It's very possible to quickly configure the relevant objects.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say that I could have the idea that it should be kind of auto-suggested that there could be an assessment done on which objects are having actually data in the org, and that you could pre-suggest those, which would relieve people of work around the step, right?
100%, 100%. And we'd love to do that. And it's honestly just been a prioritization, right? Should we build awesome ways to look at the adoption data that is captured versus the problem of figuring out what objects the organization is using? But yeah, it's something we're aware of, and we just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah. And while on this point, I could imagine that it could be meaningful, especially in a larger org, to sub-segment objects that you could say group 1, group 2, group 3, and that you could assign a label to that and to segment feedback on those objects a bit by that, because there are large orgs in this world with hundreds of objects. And if you throw them all together in a big mashup, then this might not be so telling.
Yeah. So there is something also on the roadmap around getting feedback on particular processes, but that's early stages. But yeah, that is another lens, right? One is the team lens, one is the process lens, and how is adoption of either of those? So very good point.
So I know it's quite easy to understand, but could you maybe recap, maybe using the slide you used, which scores are actually collected, and if they roll up, how they roll up. I mean, don't disclose the algorithm, but that they roll up into an overall score, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the secret sauce is in how it's done. It's not the rocket science between what are the different scores and how they are made up. So the login score and all other scores are between 0 and 100 for all users on every day. And when you then look at a particular team, then you're looking at the average scores for the users in that team. So that would be the login score. And if you're looking across it over the course of a month, then it's looking at the weekdays, not the weekend days. And that is how we get the month login score, for example. The adoption score is looking at weights of those three elements, right? So login has 20, usage 40, sentiment 40. So again, this is not rocket science. I've seen many companies do different versions of something like that. And then that's how we generate the adoption score. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the adoption score is the master score?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And sentiment, usage, and login are feeding into that master score.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that is nice.
Our three-legged elephant. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe another question, if you don't mind. So your app is, I would tend to say, obviously built around providing the results out of the various scores and making them accessible. It's a form of reporting, if you will. If somebody wanted to use the data a bit on their own and use Salesforce reports and dashboards rather, would you advise that this be done as well, or would you rather discourage that, or how do you see this?
Yeah, first I would be curious, right? Because we're trying to make GoElephant be the one-stop shop, the place to go for adoption insights. So if there's something they're not seeing that they would want to see, we're happy to build it, right? So depending what it is, I don't know what it could be. Then sure, the raw data, that means the day scores is of course your Salesforce objects that they could do stuff with. But the month aggregations and rollups, that is not available in objects. That's just in the components that we have, right? That's sort of the secret sauce, if you will. So I'd be curious. I would approach it with curiosity to understand what more would you like to make of those adoption insights.
Yeah, I mean, I just speculated that somebody might want to put it in a data warehouse and then do stuff with it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
by all means, they could do that if they wanted to do more work. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we know that Salesforce data is often siphoned off to some reporting system, and that companies like to do their own BI on things. Then maybe another question about the sentiment score. So you showed how simple it is, and it's totally straightforward, right? It's not time consuming, it's quick and easy. Does it also capture the context of the user, the Lightning record page, or wherever we are, so that we have that available?
Not at the moment, no. But as I alluded to before, we are looking at letting companies define what objects they would like to capture process feedback on. But that's a roadmap. So I'm holding a little bit back on saying more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And maybe a slightly related question: if an organization has one or several integrations, and it so happens that a technical user is doing quite a lot of data pushes into an object, and it would so happen that this is a separate record type, would it be possible to filter that out, because it would be creating a lot of noise, right? And that user would never give feedback because it's not a human user.
Yeah. I think for that we advise not to give the end user permission set to admin users or integration users, users that do ongoing data migrations or loads or stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So there is actually currently already a way to work around this.
Yeah.
Which I deem quite important then.
Yeah.
I'm coming back maybe to somewhat of a higher level if we try to see this a bit in a center of excellence context. I imagine that it's just speculation, but that the effort required to collect meaningful feedback is also a function of the user base. So as you said yourself, in a very small organization, we can meet at the water cooler or at the coffee machine, right?
Yeah.
And then if we scale the idea a bit from there, where would you see kind of, pardon the logarithmic or whatever it is, progression where the value of the app goes up? Super linearly, or I'm not saying exponentially, the larger the organization becomes. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And we thought about it a lot too. I don't know if I have the exact answer. It's something we're on the quest for too. But I think it's a function of users, but also how many people are in the Salesforce team. Is it a solo admin who also looks after the ERP and the email and everything else, or is there a team? And is there also a business analyst who also does a bit of user training and tries to keep up with that? So I think you can probably look at it with those two lenses. But I think once it's more than 50 users, definitely more than 100, I think that's where we as a human start to reach the threshold of how many human connections can we mentally comprehend and be up to date with before it becomes unmanageable, at least to keep in contact in a structured way over the course of time. So I think definitely if we're talking hundreds or thousands, that's where it's impossible to know everyone and be aware what they think of the application, right? Of Salesforce. The lower end of the threshold, I think your guess and anyone here is as good as mine.
Yeah. We could maybe also say, so thank you for sharing that, Kristian. We could maybe also say that we are more prone to bias. If we go out ourselves proactively to collect feedback, we might subconsciously focus on people where we already know that the feedback might be positive, right? Because we don't like to be criticized, and to hear other types of stories, maybe. Not saying it's going to happen, but GoElephant would also be able to remove some of that bias, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To objectify feedback in a sense. I mean, any seriously designed survey would try to do that, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I already asked about the roadmap. Maybe a question. So if there is very negative sentiment in some part of the user base, and it might go unnoticed for a while because the current way of working requires somebody to actively go and look right at the results. Could you imagine a form of alerts that if negative tendencies are building up over time, that admins or product owners are alerted to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe it's tomorrow, but if not, then next week we're deploying so that there's a weekly email going out to our customers from their Salesforce org if they captured new feedback in the previous week, just to make sure that they are reminded to go in and check. Over time, we're going to be looking more into the general epic, if you will, of notifications for significant changes in adoption. So that could be for a particular team or a particular part of processes where there is a negative feedback or sentiment growing. But that's a little bit further ahead. So absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Maybe to come back, to circle back to the golden age of AI that we are entering here, where AI gets commoditized, and it commoditizes quite a few things that were previously the domain of human cognitive activity.
Yeah.
That can then be AI assisted, and so and a technique that has been existing. So once you think about processing collected feedback using AI, as you mentioned, could you maybe have access to a larger amount of feedback if you provided the ability for people to give feedback via voice, via a conversational interface, so that people can tell you 2 pages of A4 of feedback, and the AI crystallizes what's really relevant and maybe monitors it for predefined keywords or such.
Yeah. I think that would be awesome. One, if I don't know if it's as much about the medium of giving feedback, but getting users to want to share feedback. And really that's been the biggest challenge that we have now overcome by working together with our customers, is how do we attack these low participation rates in annual off-platform surveys, the ones where you get an email asking you to go to SurveyMonkey, fill out 10 questions, a lot of it is required. The participation rate is so low. We've nailed that, so it's now around 33 to 50% of the pops that actually generate a feedback, even if it's just a smiley face, with some of them with free text feedback. That's a heck of a lot more than the other. Could we get people to give more flavor to the feedback if there was a microphone button and they could talk into it? Maybe. I think it's something we have to try at some point.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I'm just kind of bombarding you with ideas, but I
love it.
I gathered the impression previously that would be okay.
100%. This is great.
It could be slightly off-putting to someone. How do you see the respective strategies of gamification versus collecting feedback? So what I've seen previously at one organization, at an extremely large one, with a user base, I think, going towards 200,000, is that they had thought about a gamification approach, where users do not have an adoption score, but they have like a contribution score. And how similar do you, I haven't thought about this before. It just popped into my mind right now, based on my previous experience. How similar do you think are these notions? They are not totally alien to each other, right?
So what was the contribution score? Contribution
So it
to
was like somebody had defined thresholds, or maybe the simplest way to imagine it would be the more data you create. I mean, not via a macro, the opportunities that you create, or the more high quality data that you capture, the more credits you would get, and then you would have leaderboards and stuff.
That sounds pretty cool. I think it's related, but not entirely the same thing that would be measured. I think the overlap is probably around the usage score element of GoElephant's adoption score, and that sounds pretty cool for, let's say, helping keeping data up to date and data quality and so on. I think that's a wonderful strategy. I've seen other companies when I worked at where there was a traffic light on different records, how many % of the fields were updated in the last year or 3 months or something like that, right? But making it by user, so it's gamification, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, in that sense, what I've seen is, for example, on various opportunities, record types driven, maybe also that there were like 14 fields required, and it wasn't easy to see exactly in the page layout which one these were. So there was a round, same as you use the round pi indicator, or how's it called, the round indicator, the dial that indicates how far you are in your completion.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so in summarizing maybe, and I'll let you also summarize. So I think as brief as the demo was, there are a lot of aspects that emerged through the questions.
100%.
And personally, I'm very happy to see that this is going forward. Indeed, personally, I think that change management is all too often more like an afterthought, and all the related activities like post-go live support, training. Nowadays, we can almost be sure that we always have the headlines, but what we have as meat on the bone isn't maybe always as impressive as the headlines. So what's your thinking around this in concluding, and how do you see the impact of GoElephant there?
Yeah, I don't know if I could have said it better myself, but I think one message would be don't think about the tool. Think about how can you get closer to your users, and hear what do they think, because we're spending so much time building stuff, but very little understanding if it's really having an impact. And talking to users is the best way. If it's a small company, 5 users, 10 users, just go talk to people. Don't worry about setting up tools. That's overkill. Where GoElephant comes in is, of course, when it becomes unmanageable and it's hard to keep track. Yeah.
And then also, as a related reflection, it is not enough to adopt GoElephant. We also have to use the data and do something with them, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the one thing is to use it to drive adoption. But oftentimes it's really just there is tense meetings in steercos or program boards because there is lack of clarity. What is actually the state of Salesforce adoption at our company? And that is where the loudest voice typically has the biggest say. So this is a way for companies to get objective and look at actual facts. And that typically opens up more meaningful conversations.
Yeah, I mean, there were at one point requirements that generated the current functionalities, and maybe the feedback that is captured via GoElephant could flow into renewed requirements, as things are always evolving. So I think it's in a continuum of evolution, and I'm happy to see this advancement. Thank you so much, Kristian, for your time, for sharing this with the wider Ohana. And
pleasure.
as you know, we'll publish videos. So yeah, thank you so much. And I leave you the last word.
Get closer to your users.
Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.